Hello everyone. Today we are exploring Mauryan Empire, focusing especially on its artistic achievements, the reason of its decline, and what happened in the post-Mauryan period. By the end, you will understand not just how the empire was built and ruled, but also how it fell and what legacy it left behind. First, let's look into the Mauryan art and architecture, a truly remarkable period in ancient Indian history. Under the Mauryas, particularly during Ashoka's reign, there was a major shift using woods to working in stone. This era produced some of the most iconic monuments, pillars, stupas, and rock cut caves. The pillars erected by Mauryan kings were masterpieces. These monolithic pillars were carved from single pieces of stone, sometimes sandstone, and polished to a high shine, giving them a smooth, glossy finish. Each pillar is composed of a long shaft topped by a capital, an abacus, and animal sculptures like lions, elephants, or bulls. One of the most famous examples is the lion capital, which features four lions standing back to back. From this design, India's national emblem is derived. Then there are the stupas, which are dome like mound structures built to enshrine relics of the Buddha. Mauryan stupas had a sophisticated architectural design, a hemispherical mound called the Anda, a square railing on top called the Harmika, and a triple umbrella shaped chhatra. The was made from the unburnt bricks, while the outer layer used fired bricks covered in plaster and decorated. Many stupas had gateways, toranas, and railing carved with scenes from the Jataka stories, tales of Buddha's previous life, and other important Buddhist symbolism. The rock cut caves of the Mauryan period are equally impressive. The Barabar caves, for instance, are among the oldest rock cut structures in India. These caves were carved directly into the rock and served as hermitages or meditation halls, especially for the Ajivika sect. One king, Lomas Rishi, has an ornamental facade that imitates wooden architecture, showing how stone craftsmanship was evolving by copying earlier wooden forms. Sculptures also flourish under the Mauryas. Statues of yakshas and yakshinis, nature spirits often associated with fertility and protection, were common. Some of these sculptures were life seized, expressive, and highly polished. The famous Didarganj Yakshini is a standout example, and so is the elephant carved out of a live rock at a place called Dholi. On the utilitarian side, pottery was well developed. One of the most distinctive style is northern black polished ware, made from the very fine clay and polished to a glossy finish. These pottery pieces have been found across many archaeological sites, showing how widespread and sophisticated this craft was. All of this art wasn't just religious, it was also heavily royal and state sponsored. The Mauryan kings, especially Ashoka, used their patronage of art to communicate their values, their power, and their religious commitments. The high polish, the stone monuments, and the monument scale all reflect a very deliberate elite support of artisans and architects. Now let's talk about the decline of the Mauryan Empire, which began in the earnest after the death of Ashoka. Though Ashoka is often remembered for his moral and religious rule, his policies also had a long term financial and political consequences. One major factor was financial strain. The empire's huge army and sprawling bureaucracy required massive resources. Add to the Ashoka's very generous grants to Buddhist monasteries and monks, and the treasury was under constant pressure. Over time, maintaining such a large state structure became unsustainable. At the same time, the centralized administration that had worked under strong rulers began to unravel when less capable kings came to power. The Mauryan system depended on efficient central control, but after Ashoka, weak successors struggled to maintain it. Corruption among provincial governors grew, and local officials often abused power. In some areas, people rebelled against oppressive rulers, and even Ashoka's reforms, like rotating officials in troublesome provinces, couldn't prevent dissent earlier. Another blow come to the empire was religious and social backlash. Ashoka's support for Buddhism, his strong promotion of non-violence, and his discouragement of traditional Brahminical ritual upset many Brahmins whose social status and income had depended on sacrifices and offerings. This created a growing tension between the central Buddhist learning authority and conservative Brahminical interest. Structural problems made matter worse. The vast size of the empire made it difficult to govern over long distances. Communication across far flung provinces was slow and inefficient, and when central power weakened, regional rulers began asserting greater autonomy. There were also external threats. As the empire fractured, peripheral regions broke away and the weakened modern state became vulnerable to invasions. Historical accounts suggest that foreign powers and local rulers exploited the power vacuum, further eroding the unity of the empire. Finally, after Ashoka's death, the empire really fragmented. The last modern king, Brihadartha, was eventually assassinated by his own general Pushyamitra, who went on to found a new dynasty. The once unified Mauryan Empire had effectively come to an end. What happened after the Mauryas is equally fascinating. The most Mauryan period saw the rise of regional kingdoms and cultural transformation that shaped the future of Indian subcontinent. One of the first to emerge was the Shunga dynasty, founded by the Pushyamitra after the fall of the Mauryas. The Shungas were Brahmins and re emphasized traditional Brahminical rituals, which contrasted with the Mauryan patronage of Buddhism. In the other parts of India, new powers rose as well. In the Deccan region, the Satvana dynasty began to assert itself. Over time, the Satvanas would grow into long lasting and influential kingdom, controlling large parts of the central and southern India. Their rise marked a shift from a highly centralized imperial system to more regionally based political structures. Culturally, the post-Mauryan age also saw the development of new school of art, building on the tradition of Mauryan stone work. Later art evolved in centers like Mathura, Gandhara, and Amravati. These regions would produce some of the most celebrated Buddhist and Hindu art of the early centuries, blending local styles with external influences. The administrative system of the Mauryas didn't disappear entirely either. Many successors' kingdoms retained elements of centralized governance, though adapted to local conditions. The Mauryan legacy, in other words, provided a template even as the political map fractured into smaller states. To sum up, the Mauryan Empire was just a powerful political entity, it was also a cultural powerhouse. Its art transformed Indian architecture, sculpture, and religious monuments, but its very greatness sowed the seeds of its downfall. Maintaining such a large empire was costly, and after Ashoka, weak rulers combined with internal strife and financial stress caused it to collapse. Yet its legacy lived on. The post Mauryan age saw the dynasties and modern artistic and administrative tradition continued to influence the subcontinent. Thank you so much for watching this video on the art, decline, and aftermath of the Mauryan Empire. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'd love to know which other dynasties or periods you want me to cover next.